Wow, this game is pretty awesome. After 200 plus hours of game time, I still had not enough of Baldur's Gate 3. The story is amazing. The presentation of it is so remarkable. Each companion or origin character is well written, not perfect, but great. It applied the D&D 5e combat mechanics perfectly in a video game. Hello guys, Genuine here of Genuine Gaming, and here is my Baldur's Gate 3 review, finally after patch 3. It was patch 3 that fixed the biggest problem I encountered playing the game. Let's start the review. Baldur's Gate 3 is a role-playing video game developed and published by Larian Studios. It can be played as a single player or in co-op. You can create one or more characters and form a party with a number of pre-generated characters, also known as origin characters. Unlike the previous games in Baldur's Gate series, which is a real-time with boss combat, Baldur's Gate 3 has turn-based combat. Combat in this game is based on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules. As always, let us begin with the story and presentation. The game is set 120 years after the previous game, Baldur's Gate 2 Shadows of Am, and months after the events of the playable D&D 5e module, Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. The game features branching plots where the main story elements stay mostly the same, regardless of the player's choices, but with considerable variation in the details, especially the numerous side quests. At the start of the game, players can create a customizable character with a blank slate in terms of backstory. Choose a pre-made character called origin characters that have unique quest lines, or choose the customizable character and at the same time have a unique quest line. The story begins with you waking up inside a Nautiloid, a dimension-crossing mind flayer flying ship. You have been implanted with a mind flayer tadpole, a parasite that enthralls and transforms people into a mind flayer. However, before the transformation is complete, the ship comes under attack from a Githyanki warriors and their red dragons. The ship flees through multiple realms. You manage to escape during the fighting and steer the damaged ship back to Faerun, where it crashes. You then start your quests in search of a way to remove the parasite in your brain. You will then encounter survivors of the wrecked ship also implanted with tadpoles. Most CRPG games like Baldur's Gate 3 would narrate the story through a lot of reading. You have to read what the NPC is telling you, and you have to read the choices you have to make. In Baldur's Gate 3, the NPC talk to you and not only move their mouths, but also have facial expressions so that you will know that they like or dislike your decision. Each character in the game is well written, which helps you indulge as really being part of the game. The writing and the visuals of the story is just incredible, as it was able to penetrate my emotion. Like, there was part of the game wherein you need to infiltrate an enemy base so that you will learn how to kill the enemy boss. I was planning to just play along as a member of the enemy, but then I encountered this person wherein I got really angry because of how demeaning that enemy is to me because of the choices I made in the game. I got so angry talking to that enemy that I ended up attacking it. So that is how well written the game is. Combat and gameplay. Let's start with character creation. Baldur's Gate 3 character creation is extensive. Most of the races have 4 body types, a great number of hairstyles, and many other choices. I am not the type of player that would stay hours and hours just to create a nice looking character, but I love my character to look good. I am pretty much satisfied with the choices I have in character creation. If you are not familiar with D&D 5e, every class in the game is different. You can also mix and match classes, or in D&D terms, multi-class. That would mean playing through the game multiple times would be different if you play in a different class. Another thing that would make your multiple run-throughs feel different is the choices you make in the game, as choices will really matter in a game. That is why you should be careful of your choices in Baldur's Gate 3, as it would make your playthrough difficult. Combat in Baldur's Gate 3 is turn-based. If you have played in the past Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, they feel different in combat and gameplay. The previous Baldur's Gate allows you to explore the game with a party of 6 and its combat is real-time with pause, while Baldur's Gate 3 only allows you to explore the game with a maximum of 4 members in your party and its combat is turn-based. And if the previous Baldur's Gate game is based on a previous edition of the D&D rule set, Baldur's Gate 3 is based on D&D 5e rules. It did not implement completely the rules as it modified some rules to be able to apply them in the video game. The rules may be daunting at first as D&D 5e rules are comprised of a handbook, but as I have made this video, a lot of tips and guides for new players have already been posted on the internet to help new players in the game. I enjoy the combat in this game as every hit feels satisfying and every miss feels frustrating. More satisfaction is felt every time you roll a natural 20, which is a critical hit, and more frustration is felt every time you roll a natural 1, which is a critical miss. At first, I played it in the balanced mode, and when I reached Act 2, I restarted the game because I found combat a little bit easy. And what I like playing in the tactician mode is that they do not add extra health to the enemy, but give them more abilities to make every battle more difficult. The best part of playing on Tactician mode is that you do not need an overpowered character, which allows you to roleplay the game. Another aspect of the game is exploration. The world of Baldur's Gate 3 world is huge. In my 200 plus hours of playing Baldur's Gate, I know that I have not uncovered everything in the game. Dungeons in the game are well thought of as well. Every dungeon can be overcome not only one way but in many ways, as enemies can be overcome not only through combat but also through passing difficult ability checks. The ability checks may be difficult to pass but not impossible, as you also be lucky with your dice rolls. I play Baldur's Gate 3 on my laptop with i7, 16GB RAM, and GTX 1660 Ti. Short of the recommended setup. My 1660 Ti is only a 6GB VRAM and I am playing it 1080p at high setting. I can run this game smoothly, especially if I play offline. This was for me in both Act 1 and Act 2. But when I reached Act 3, I was having a stuttering problem which made the game pretty much annoying. I even made the setting at 720p and still the problem exists. Not until the release of patch 3. With patch 3 installed, it removed the constant stutters. The stutters still exist but they now occur very seldom and can be tolerated. With all the hot fixes that I have occurred after its release, bugs and glitches still exist but I did not encounter any game-breaking bugs. My genuine verdict. Baldur's Gate 3 is a masterpiece of a game. You do not need to make a perfect game without bugs and glitches to make a masterpiece of a game. You just need to make a game that is playable and remains enjoyable even if you played it multiple times. The story is compelling, the characters are captivating, the gameplay is gratifying, and everything works seamlessly well. So I am rating this game after patch 3 since that is the only time I was able to finish the game. Story and presentation is 10. Combat and gameplay is 10. Graphics and optimization, 9. I give this game 9.7 out of 10. I totally would recommend this game as a buy. This is a game that you would not want to miss, especially if you are a CRPG fan. For those who don't want to play turn-based combat, this may be a nice introduction to the genre. For those who have played Baldur's Gate 3, how would you rate the game? Do you consider it a masterpiece? Leave a like if the video is helpful, and for those who are new to my channel, subscribe for more Baldur's Gate 3 videos. See you in the next video. Ciao!